Babatunde Rutinwa, a seasoned administrator and former Lagos State Head of Service. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
Okay, let's start this way. Okay, given your extensive experience, how would you assess the current state of local government administration in Nigeria, particularly here in Lagos State?
Thank you very much. First and foremost, I'd like to congratulate the president, who was the former governor of Lagos State, for creating additional SCDAs, which has helped to bring government to the grassroots. I must also congratulate the past chairman and current one for making sure the dreams of Mr. President is achieved in terms of bringing government closer to the people. But that is the only picture we have. The rest is nothing to write home about. In other words, the constitutional responsibility of local government, governors all over Nigeria has not allowed them to perform those constitutional responsibilities, especially with regards to revenue generation. That has lessened the strength of local government in terms of their interaction with the grassroots. I will cite some examples. Some principal source of revenue for local governments are tenement rate, which you call land use charges now, market, motor park, as all some of this lower administration. For one reason or the other, the state government all over Nigeria has not allowed local government to do their responsibility in terms of, because to have an effective local government, you need a lot of resources. The local government we have, 774 local government, constitutionally established local government, cannot stand on their own if they don't take meal ticket from the federation account. It's as bad as that. The internally generated revenue they ought to be working on, they don't allow them. For example, I cite an example coming back home, Lagos. Tenement rate, which is now called land use charges, is a principal source of local government, ranging from very rural local government, about 35 to 75% in metropolitan local government. Where one way or the other, state government succeeded in arranging for them to do the collection and rename it land use charges. What is the return to local government? I cannot categorize the amount, but they are not getting sufficient amount collected on that behalf. Then when you now go to other sources of income for local government, motor park, market, that has been commercialized. We endorse commercialization, but not to the extent of compromising the revenue of local government. They can commercialize it, but there has to be a working arrangement where the officials, especially the chairman and his team, sit with whoever is going to be, do the PPA, now sit down and work arrangement, and they collect the money effectively. At least 70% of the money should come back to the local government, but that's not the story. The story is so bad now that if the local government don't get money from the federation account, they cannot pay salary. And that's very bad. I was a local government staff myself. We rose from rural area of Ekpe to Lagos mainland, where we are generating, and it's on record, almost 60 to 75% of total revenue available to local government.
So, but with the financial autonomy being granted to local governments in the federation now, what are your expectations? What changes do you hope to see?
I'm not sure there is going to be any autonomy, because they are tossing it here and there. We see in the print, the newspaper and media, that they are discussing about it. But even the National Assembly is not sure what they want to do, because when you look at some of the discussion going on about financial autonomy and autonomy to local government, the gestation period is not here, because we cannot see the autonomy. What really needs to be done is to look at the Constitution and the provisions in Section 7 of Nigerian Constitution and see what powers the Constitution gives to local government. Once you are able to digest that, then we go back to the basis. How do you implement it? All those functions, are local government going to be able to do it effectively? And the reason is very clear. By the time you examine various, whether you are talking about northeastern, north central, north western, south, and others, state government depend largely between 15 to 25% of revenue from local government source. That's the problem. So they are not willing. It's a challenge to the local government, a challenge to Nigerians and those in authority to look at that constitution again and make sure they review it to the extent that local government can perform on the basis of that power given to them in the constitution. It's very key. If not so, we will have a situation where the local government go cap in hand to the state and federal to act for fun, and all the time you see the picture of governors commissioning these things. We don't see that in advanced economy. All you see when you go to Chicago or any other civilized country or London is the mayor of that city. You see frequently discharging the responsibility, giving services to the people, and people run back to him when they have difficulties. But here, local government just put on one side. Maybe that's what Nigerians want. As far as I'm concerned, I would like a national referendum on local government, whether we need a local government at all. If we don't need it, let's run it.
Do you think, do we need a local government?
Of course we do.
We do.
But Nigeria will have to reaffirm that they need local government. Hence, whatever power is given to them for responsibility, they should be allowed to perform that responsibility.
But do you think many Nigerians understand the roles and responsibilities of the local government? Because if there's anything, on their streets, in their wards, they're always shouting the state government, the state government,
the president.
or even the president.
Because you see the picture is clear. We are insider. That's why we know. But there is a document called Constitution now. It gives. Maybe the Ministry of Information in various states should elaborate to enlighten the public, and Radio Lagos and TV should do that also. Because the Constitution, particularly that section that give responsibility to local government. Once we are able to, when they can digest, there are a lot of things, politics going on in this country. They will only allow the public to know what they want them to know.
And then
what they don't want them to know, they will, the local government. Something is coming now. You don't see any. It's whatever they see at the state level, and it's a national crisis. I don't see any reason why President Tinubu haven't got to the presidency now, felt that he needs to push more power to local government. He directed the Minister for Justice to go to the Supreme Court and make fire some issues. At the end of the day, they won. They said there should be local government autonomy. But
as of today, or as of last week, we still read in the papers that, look, they've not been able to, transfer these funds to the local government.
They are even promising that this month, the money will be paid to 774 local government. But then we heard again from the Lagos State Political Authority that election is going to be held on 57 local government councils. So, as far as I'm concerned, Nigerians will have to, in a civilized country, when we have controversy about the constitution like this, it is re-emphasized by making a national referendum. So for people to assert whether they want local government that is autonomous, or they want the local government that is a department of the state or governor's office.
Okay, we know that some states, one particular state have said they still want to be part of the local government. Chairman said they want to be part of the local government of the state. They don't want to be an autonomous state.
Yes, I'm not particularly saying that local governments should be so autonomous because of different structures that could be run by different parties. Or at least allow them basic functions of being on the ground structurally, the elected official, the appointed official, giving the rules of the game, let them perform it, let people know that we are creating a crisis, and that crisis is that in the local government, especially in rural area and suburban, they are not paying anything back to the local government. I think that is the arrangement for this political party arrangement, that look, don't bother them, let them, they are the one voting for us. And that is destroying the fabric, the foundation of local government administration.
I like the fact that you began the conversation with highlighting one of the challenges, which is finance. So let's also look at some other challenges that is hindering effective local government governance in the state.
Well, you see, the one of the challenges is, the fear that if we let them go, they'll be doing things the way they want. They will not conform with what we are doing at the state level. That's one challenge. The other challenges are that, well, I was, from 4 years ago, I was chairman of Local Government Service Commission. We used to address the issue of manpower you require that we have inadequacy of manpower, but we have manpower now. As a matter of fact, some of us in the public service of local government and whatever transfer, we have on record in Lagos State 2 officials of local government that became head of service haven't been transferred to the state civil service. So the structures are there. The benefits, the remuneration are the same. So we don't have much of, but even within the context of the present team, the staff, they need additional training, manpower development. You go to local government, see this paperwork they are still doing there. They are not computerized. So that's another challenge. The challenges of local government are enormous. And one of the other challenges is this revenue generation, accountability. And of course, interacting, we are blaming the state government now. The local government have started doing the same thing. They are not relating to the stakeholders, which is the public.
The people.
Yes. For example, in the budget section, they are supposed to go back to the people, discuss with them, their failed need, list it, and then come back to the local government, analyze it, and go back to them that out of X amount of X, Y, and Z that you needed, we can only do X.
Are you talking about the local government now?
Government
because
now.
the state government
Yes.
does that.
Government.
Yes.
Okay, the local government.
The local government, they really need to relate to them. And not only that, even when they finally approve the budget, they are supposed to have a session where they tell them the progress on a quarterly basis. For whatever reason, this is exactly what I've been able to achieve. The question of revenue generation, I'm saying, is not a difficult thing. If people say these are failed needs, I believe that when you vote a government in, you have to provide for that government to run, which is revenue. You take the matter back to the community and say, look, these are the things you say you wanted. We are not even increasing the rate. We are going to be collecting the rate we have been collecting for 5-10 years ago, but you must pay. At the end of the day, the local government should have been able to generate about 80 to 85% of those revenue they are marked for the budget. Then they will be able to perform. But if the chairman too felt that no, they have to wait for the federation account money. That's it.
So looking at Lagos State, it's often considered that this state is a model, a model in governance. Because we've had maybe 1 or 2 local government chairmen here and who have told us that, look, they've always been autonomous even before the Supreme Court declaration or judgment. So what practices in Lagos that has set this state apart from other states?
Well, it's very simple. Let me cite you an example. When I was head of service and I retired in 1999, the revenue of government state was 600 million. Actually, Bola Ahmed Tinubu came in and that's the internally generated revenue. We are talking about billions now.
From what sources?
Internally generated revenue of the state.
Okay,
Can we say that for local government? Even chairman comes here and tell you that story, they are just tourists. They can't justify it. You need the technocrats beside them to confirm. Well, they've done a little bit, but it's not enough. The population of Lagos is growing. We have to establish a system where people come forward voluntarily to pay whatever is due. That is very, very important. The other important aspect is that are we going to continue to depend on federal structure, federal money?
Allocation.
Yes, so that's the example I've said, and I want that anybody to contest that with me. If the federal allocation does not drop down at the end of the month, everybody will go hungry. That is not a system. When I was in Lagos mainland local government, we were collecting revenue up to the tune of 70%. And when we get federal allocation, we are getting federal allocation, we invest that in commercial infrastructure. By that, something that will give returns. Sometimes when we cannot do it, go additional loan or we do PPP. But the intention is that at the end of the month, we will be reinforced financially to be able to meet our obligations. That is very important. We are not planning for future local government. We just now. The federal government can collab with all these loans they are taking left, right, and center. And that would be it. The LTV is a good example of it. when we read about your crisis here and what is happening on the world, if the foundation has been laid, and it's because the people who are supposed to superintend over LTV are competing with it. So what do you expect?
Okay, so going back to local government administration now, they are still generating revenue. Yes. So 2 questions in one. Are there enough checks and balances for the people to hold them accountable? 2, what are the roles of the people in also ensuring that these local government administrators have a smooth running?
It's a very good question, Well, earlier on I talked about stakeholders. And I said we want to encourage local government to be closer to the people. When you have a structure of local government, there must be a feedback system. That feedback system includes the local government having a brief with the community. First quarter of this year, this is how much you have generated
engagement
from your sources, and this is how much you have spent for staff and everything. At least people will ask questions. From that, you will know if that is. But can you imagine Iyaloja collecting revenue in the market? Iyaloja don't take care of clinics, health centers. They don't take care of primary education. Can you imagine local government authorizing private people to collect fees at motor park? Are they responsible for promoting primary education? Those are the things. And there have not been any forum where that one is discussed. Look, they just wake up one morning and say the staff are stealing money, we don't want them to collect money. Well, there is nothing wrong in delegating this in an arrangement, but it has to be, a standard has to be set. In other words, if before now we are collecting in a local government 16 million naira on a monthly basis, and you want to give it to contractors, revenue contractors, is it that you collect that 15 million naira or more? But what we are having now, and I stand to be challenged, they don't even collect 25% of it and nobody is complaining. So when politicians come here and tell stories, they are just telling stories. They cannot defend it. They cannot. Well, they've been able to manage because federal posts are swollen and they are getting billions now. Maybe if they list about 3 or 4 projects, they were able to do 2 or 3. So nobody knows because the government is so far from the people. So those are the challenges that need to be. Even when everything works very well, you still need to go around. And what is even more, in the public service, there is a system of check and balance. We have the Auditor General's office for local government. We have the State House of Assembly that calls them on the quarterly basis to check if there are accountability. But nothing comes out of some of these things.
Okay. Some have said that that governors use, which you have also indicated earlier, that governors use local government as political tools. Yes, sure. So how can state governments now balance, supervision of local government and allowing them, perform their duties at the same time?
For me, one of the problems that we have is winner take all in our electoral system in local government. You have state electoral commission, and once they conduct election, whether it's PDP or APC or Labour, they clear all the results. So who's going to superintend over that? So the end result of that is that decreases accountability and opposition. It's because just one way thing. But by the time you have in a state, particular state, if you have maybe 20 or 30 local government, 10 of are won by a different party, there will be change. The governor will be challenged and there will be confusion, but it will settle down to some of these things. Additional information available is that the selection process is a structure that you have to know the governor, you have to know the leader to get nomination for this and that, and you don't get to that office and start attacking the person who is your sponsor. So everybody is just keeping. I'm able to see this. I'm not a card-carrying member of any. Of course, I'm an APC person, but purely based on what is the rules of the game. That's all. So we can assist the younger generation to prosper from this administration. Other than that, facts are there. It's written in black and white. We have served in so many committees to help local government get out of this lockdown. But it's garbage in, garbage out.
You've picked a lot of holes, through our conversation today. But again, what reforms would you like to see, or would you suggest for these changes to become a reality?
Like I said, I advocate for, I have just advocated for national referendum on local government. Mm-hmm. It is the federal government and the presidency that's talking about autonomy. Maybe people don't like it. In fact, at one section of our political debate, our discussion whether local government should stand on their own, I recall some very important figure in politics said local government is not autonomous. It's supposed to be under the state. I don't think that's what is the constitution. That's one. The other aspect is that when you run a system, there must be a review. All these things we are saying, when this national referendum has already asserted they want autonomy, then you have to change the rules, make sure that certain things is established. And one of the establishment is that once you are elected as chairman of local government, there are limitations as to how you can be summoned by the governor of the state. You have to do whatever. You see, the state houses of assembly are supposed to do that. But they also join the bandwagon of control. I've said this several times. With the power given to the state House of Assembly to look into some of these functions, they should have saved the local government, but they are not. They are making things worse. And that's why we have, the constitution is very everlasting, elastic. Provide that just in future, if something happens, do this and do that. But they aren't doing it. Because for this arrangement, that's why I said there is a need to get people to speak their mind, and then we will now review what problems we have been having. And one of the problems is that the state House of Assemblies in the Federation are not doing that. They are just following the executive in pushing down the local government. And what is even more, the people are not aware, the grassroots they are talking about. They don't even know. They would have given them so many propaganda that, but it's delaying development. Things that are going to be done in millions will be done in the future in trillions, because we are pretending as if the thing is not there. Let me cite you one or two examples. We have things here in Nigeria, especially in Lagos, which local government can copy. Market development, for example. Look at that plaza there. When they were constructing that plaza, I was one of the people who felt that this is going to create problem for Alausa Secretariat. But the engineers sat down and all the other professionals, they did it in such a way that you don't even know there's a plaza there. Everybody goes their way. But when you look at local government, when they establish a market, that market is going to deprive the neighborhood of movement, free movement of vehicles. So that's the problem. And what is even more, when you construct a market, you must provide for parking in and out of the market. You must make adequate arrangement for the poor people who are selling peanuts to generate their own income. That plaza, the parking lot there, fetch a lot of money for government than the market, the shopping center itself. You park for more than 1 hour, you pay, and the rate of income is huge. So we have already advised them that when you are citing something, you don't have to have all the expertise within your local government. Get a consultant. You want to cite a market here. So what are the criteria for sustainable development? All those indices that will make market comfortable for people. I recommended a warehouse market that contain everybody inside, with all the facilities, security, CCTV, whatever, toilet facilities, so that there will not be street trading. The present market we have now is that 75% are in the market, 75% are outside, that's 25%, and there is no confusion. Okay, and everybody is trying to avoid going through the street that leads to the market.
Okay, so this brings me to the question now that as a people, as residents, you know, what is our own responsibility in ensuring that, you know, this local government are accountable and effective?
Well, you see, that's a very 1 million naira question. Those who should know are not talking. You know, people, they don't talk, they don't relate to local government. They don't.
Could it be that because they've lost trust?
Yes, they don't relate. It's these crowd people that are clapping, that we gather and they show, you tell TV, come and cover it, you get the consent of the people, and they will sing and dance, end of story. I've gone my career through local government and public service. I'm fed up. You know, it's only when they ask us, because I don't have hope in some of these things, because we are not facing the reality. And it will take a lot of determined leadership to say, let's look at this book again and see what we can do. It's not a difficult exercise, because it's a win-win situation both for the state and the local government and the federal government too. Why do I say that? Once the local government can flourish and perform, then the state government don't have to go to the corners and crannies of the state to do infrastructural facilities. Rural infrastructure is not that complex at the state. You see, but what we have here is, some years back, everybody want to come to Lagos to do shopping, and that is creating a lot of problems. That is reducing now, because people are waiting in suburban area that which Lagos are we going now? I'm from Ikorodu. A lot of people now stay in Ikorodu to do whatever they want to do.
Yes.
You know, maybe the price may be a little bit different, but not everybody wants to come. These are the dividends of decentralization. You cannot continue to congest everything in one system.
Final question for me. So, you said you're fed up. Some other persons too might also share that same opinion, and so they are fed up and there's no, they don't see any good anymore. But again, how can the government now help to rebuild the trust of the people again? And on the part of the people, how can they also, you know, remain hopeful? Do we just leave the situation like this, let it keep getting spoiled?
And let everybody be fed up?
No, I don't think we should leave the situation like that. But it's built in the system. There must be a reporting system. In other words, at the beginning of the year, the National Assembly, State Assembly approve budget for this level of government, and local government also have their budget. Then there should be at least a quarterly report of activities, highlighting the winners, the winning, and the failures. This is how much we have been able to collect.
Accountability.
This is the achievement we have been able to. And you see, for those of us or those people in Nigeria who are not interested, that's why everybody is a builder, is a first his own NEPA, first his own road, because you are not interested in saying something to government. We must have to. Once we pay tax, there must be the forum that we have now is Community Development Association. They have been politicized. They are master's voice, you know, they're just there singing and dancing. It's not as if they will say these are our basic needs, and they were able to look at it thoroughly and make suggestions to go. The government may not be able to score all the points, but then when they get 7/10, that's fair enough. That is subject to review. And for Nigerians who are not interested in what is going on, particularly in state and local government, it's too bad, because if you don't check on them, but we have an inbuilt system, which is the Auditor General's office at the state and local government level. The challenge is for the state Houses of Assembly, because there is a clause in the Constitution that empower them to monitor the activities of these two governments. So they should be able to do it effectively well and create room for corrections.
Thank you very much, Mr. Babatunde Rotinwa, former Lagos State Head of Service, and we've been talking about effective local government administration. I've been able to, take away three important things from what we have discussed this morning. And first is full implementation of the of autonomy, transparency, and accountability, and of course citizenship participation.
Yes.
Thank you very much, sir. We'll go on a short break. When we come back, the conversation continues.
The views